You guys can't hear the metronome, but I can, and I'm going to the beat. All right, so I'm excited. I was more excited earlier because oh, this is Jimmy B. Riggin, by the way, on Wire 21. But I'm excited, and I was way more excited earlier because I was fresh out of a meeting with some of my friends, and I'm gonna call them Mary and Ben. Mary and Ben. Mary and freaking Ben. Okay. The reason that I'm, a little bit less excited is because I recorded, fresh out of the meeting, I recorded this podcast, and I kept using their real names, but I want to use aliases. I don't know why. Yeah, I do. It's because I don't want creeps knowing who I am. Like you freaking creeps, and it's fun. Just a good idea. I think it's unique. Nobody else is doing it, except rappers. But rappers. Anyway, so I'm excited because we just got out of a meeting and I got some good feedback, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So I started I started this podcast because I was depressed in life. I hated everything all the time. I said that to my wife so many times. I hate everything. And, I told a little bit about that in my first podcast. Check it out. I can't remember the name of it. It's like episode 1 or something, part 1. But I only have like 4, so it's going to be easy to find. So go check it out. But so I started this because of depression, because I wanted something to get me out of the rat race, or at the very least, something somewhere where I can express my thoughts. And motivational speakers sometimes don't help. They I'll talk about that in just a minute. So my me and my wife and I went to the dog park with Mary, our friend Mary, and I wanted I wanted her to hear the podcast, but I also wanted her husband Ben to hear it because of they both have good heads on their shoulders, but I want it to get out there, and I want feedback. I want feedback from you guys. I want to know, what you like, what you don't like, and partially because these motivational speakers, they tell you a bunch of stuff, or they tell their rags to riches stories, and then they don't tell you. They kind of skip a bunch of like how they got there. They tell you that they did this and they worked hard and they did this and that and they did this. They give you a lot of principles, but they don't document their actual journeys. I think Gary Vee is one of the very few that is like actually documenting his journey. But even still, like I feel like there's some hidden stuff there. So I'm trying to document this, because if it becomes a success, then we have something. You guys have something to look at, and then I can prove that some of the stuff that the motivational speakers are talking about work. So anyway, we were at the dog park, and I asked Mary to tell Ben about it, and she did. She did. And I was sitting in church, and today it's Sunday, and I was sitting in church, and I wasn't expecting anything to come of it. Me asking Mary to tell Ben, because that's just how it's been going. And but Ben texted me, and he's like, "Dude, this is good. I feel similarly. I feel similar about these motivational speakers, and how there's kind of this weird gap in how they don't tell us what to do. And a point that he made tonight was that you can search on Google. Sometimes I get depressed or whatever. He was saying that he'll get on Google and he'll search for different things, and people have bought out so much advertising on Google that you can't actually find anything for free that you want or that can help you on your journey to become an entrepreneur. So, I'm going to take some of the advice that they have given, and we're going to run with it. But anyway, we got to texting, and I ended up inviting him over, and we were going to have brownies and talk about it, and hopefully turn this into something bigger and better, and get out of the freaking rat race. Real quick, I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you real quick. Or some perspective, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna throw this at you. So let's say, I make $12 an hour and it sucks. That may be good for somebody else, and I'm not planning on making a career out of where I work. So I want something else. And this podcast is something else. At the very least, even if I do make $12 an hour for the rest of my life, I'll have this to make me feel good about myself and to have as a journal, because I'm not going to write anything down. But you're going to have to pay attention to this one a little bit more. Let's say that you make 20 hours or $20 an hour, all right? But at any typical job, you can only work 40 hours in the week. Okay, that means that you can only make $800 in a week. There's other things you can do. You can get a second job, but that's just more of your time spent working just to have money. I don't think that money should be your main thing. You know, that's that's not a fun life, and 40 hours is a long time. But in one week, there's 168 hours. So if you work 40 hours and you can only make $800 from those 40 hours, and that's all you can make that week, you have 168 hours. That you have three times as many more hours to live still, right? But if you divide that $800 in those 168 hours, that means that your life is only worth $4.76 every hour. You as a human being, your life is worth $4.76 every hour. I don't think that's right. I think that's stupid. If you were actually making $20 an hour in your life, you'd be making in one week $3,360. Okay? So I think that we're just living in this old system, and we're trapped by it. And I want to get out of it. And I think we all want to get out of it. It's kind of dumb. I just don't like it. So anyway, we're trying to get out of that, and we're gonna start. We got this podcast going. Anyway, so we started texting, and they came over, and we played my podcasts, and we took some notes and different things. And one thing I wanted to talk about is let me give a little rant too. Pyramid schemes. All right. Everybody thinks that they're the ones where you're selling oil, and then you get somebody below you to sell oil and whatever else. That's a pyramid. That's a Ponzi scheme or whatever. MLM, multi-level marketing, right? A lot of people think those are bad, and they can be, But you know what I think is a hell of a lot worse? Walmart or corporations. I don't want to be the typical, I don't want to be, the whiny millennial. "Oh, corporations are stealing all the money." But look at it this way: corporations, Walmart, you will never ever, if you work for Walmart, you will never ever in the history of ever be able to make as much money as the Waltons, as the owners of Walmart, if you're working for Walmart. That right there is a pyramid scheme. There's levels of it, you start at the very bottom, and there's a lot of people at the bottom, and they make minimum wage or whatever it is, and then maybe you might become a shift manager or whatever, and you're a little bit higher. But even if you get up to the CEO or whatever, you're still not making as much money as the freaking Waltons. That right there to me, and that's a lifetime. You're gonna spend a lifetime, and you got to go to school. That's a lifetime of work in order to not even make as much money as the Waltons or whatever corporation that you're working for. So to me, that's stupid, and I want to get away from that. I want to get out of that. So and I want my life to be worth more than $4.76 an hour. So, oh man, I'll get off my soapbox now. But we want to document this journey for everybody, so that these principles that we're using, we can find out whether they work or not. But one thing that I learned in a TED talk is that there's four different types of entrepreneurs, right? There's the builder, there's the opportunist, there's the specialist, and there's the innovator. Okay, and they all make different types of money. And but what they talked about in the TED talk is that if you're an entrepreneur, a good thing to do is seek the other ones. So if you are a innovator, chances are like, let's look at the tech world. If you're an innovator, chances are you're kind of socially awkward, and you may need an opportunist or a builder to help you build your company. Steve Jobs was definitely a builder, and Wozniak was his he was the innovator, or the pretty much the person that made it. If I'm wrong about that, you can tell me whatever. But that's why I'm gonna have Ben on with me. We decided tonight that Ben is gonna be with. He's gonna start doing this with me, and because he can fact check me on stuff like that, and he can be like, "Hey man, you're dumb. That's not true." But and that principle comes all over the place. Motivational speakers talk about this a lot, where if you want to have a good business or whatever, you need people around you that are smarter than you. And I firmly believe that you are the average of the five people that you spend the most time with, and that includes your business. So, but also you just need people that bring other things to the table. I'm kind of goofy and weird, and I need a straight man, and that's what Ben is going to be. He's going to help me out with this tech stuff. Obviously, I have issues with it because, I recorded earlier and I screwed it up, and that's two times now that I've done that. So he's going to help me out with that. And then also, he has a lot of good things to talk about. He's got a very good head on his shoulders, and it's going to be interesting to everybody. But if you are following this because, I've talked a little bit about depression, I want to let you know that what we're doing, what I'm doing, the daily grind, just trying to do it every day, because that's one of the principles that these motivational speakers talk about, is just doing stuff every day. I want to tell you right now that it's working. I will say though that I did go to church today, and that makes you feel good, unless you're unless you're a Satanist or something, then you probably makes you feel terrible and whatever else. But yeah, this stuff is working. I feel excited right now. And in the book, The 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss talks about the opposite of happiness isn't sadness necessarily, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing and I might be wrong, but either way, the opposite of happiness isn't sadness, it's boredom. Okay. But to get rid of that boredom, what you do is you find things that excite you. And I have found just barely that has that's true, because I'm definitely excited about this. We had a good meeting tonight, and I'm excited because we're gonna get things rolling. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, or you just want to call me names or whatever, hit me up on YouTube, Wire21, Jimmy B Riggin, or Facebook, Wire21, Jimmy B Riggin, or SoundCloud, Wire21, Jimmy B Riggin. Do I gotta keep going? Jimmy B Riggin on Wire21. That's what you gotta do to get a hold of me and whatnot. Boop, 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 boop. Love ya. Just kidding.